You almost certainly know how the story ends, but to understand the final chapter and why it was so incredible, you have to remember the twists and turns that took you there. As you watch this DVD, you'll experience the highs and lows of following Oxford United. You'll remember how the club and its supporters proved themselves to be among the biggest and best in non-league football. And it may well serve as a reminder of why, if at all possible, United's exile from the Football League should never, ever be allowed to happen again. The season would end against York City at Wembley. It also started against Martin Foyle's men at the Kassam Stadium. United were confident going into the campaign, having just missed out on the playoffs the previous year, having retained key players and management, and having had a productive pre-season campaign. Much was expected of Chris Wilder in his first full season in charge. So when York City took the lead through Richard Brodie on the opening day of the season, the home support was rocked back on its heels. United, by their own admission, didn't play well, but few mentioned that as they left the ground after Matt Green had got Oxford back on terms with time running out, and Mark Creighton on his debut scoring an injury-time goal that was immortalised in a famous photograph, though by the end of the season it was only the second most memorable injury-time goal against York in the campaign. United then up and running.
To go on and win the game in the style we did, it just really gave us a kind of, kick at the backside, as it were, as well, because obviously we didn't start the game that well, but we showed that sort of never die attitude, and it worked out well for us.
The first away game of the season just a couple of nights later at Kettering. The Poppers had taken the lead, Oxford back on terms with Kevin Sandwith on target, Oxford unbeaten. United's manager always said that the season would be a roller coaster. This game had enough ups and downs to last him most of the campaign. Oxford were in front, Matt Green on the score sheet again in an otherwise uneventful first half. The second half exploded into life. Histon's equaliser came barely a minute after the break. Simon Clist restored the advantage for Oxford United within 50 seconds. A body blow for Histon. Oxford capitalised, and the first two touches the home side's replacement keeper had were to pick the ball out of the net. James Constable, last season's top scorer for Oxford, got his first two of the new campaign. Many thought Oxford would cruise to victory, so did they. They almost paid dearly for that complacency as Histon hit 2 goals in the final 2 minutes. Still a win though for United, but their manager probably didn't know then whether to laugh or cry.
It was early on in the season, and it was an important game for us to win. They were a physical team. We had to prove we were capable of beating the more direct and physical teams, and we did that. We showed that. The game was quite tight early on in the game. I remember they scored not long after we'd scored our goal, and then I managed to score again just after the restart, so made it look a bit more comfortable in the end. But it was a good win for us.
Histon's always a really difficult place to go to, especially early in the season. I think we went big and strong, 3 big lads up front, and we played some good football, but obviously we were physical as well, which you always have to match them. And I remember we scored some cracking goals as well that day. In fact, although it ended up 4-3, it was actually 4-1, and they scored 2 late goals, but a really convincing win against a team who's very difficult to play against.
It had been 2 years since Oxford had been top of the conference, but they returned to the summit of non-league football in a match that was subsequently erased from their history books. James Constable's goals against Chester were also wiped from the records. He would have had 29 for the season had these strikes counted. Matt Green also had one chalked off. The U's 4-0 victory counted for nothing as Chester went out of business and their playing record was expunged. Next up, what many predicted would be a straightforward Saturday against Stevenage. Oxford played well, but there was little to suggest that the visitors would be title contenders, as Oxford were a goal up through Alfie Potter. It was a physical match, perhaps a miracle there were no red cards. The decisive strike came from Adam Murray midway through the second half. Though still time for a 90th minute nervy end to Oxford's game, Stevenage hitting the bar, and then the net, inevitably through their former youth striker Yemi Odebaid. But Oxford stayed top of the conference. And there was resilience now too, United having won another match on their travels. Damien Batt forcing an own goal, and when things didn't go to plan, they could rely on their keeper being in good form. That penalty save at Wimbledon meant it was game, set and match to United.
It was a hard game, going to their place again. We took, amazing fans, and it was a bit of a tin-hat job for us, in the second half, because to be fair to them, they're quite a good team, and they put us under a lot of pressure. I thought the penalty was a bit harsh on Bats, to be fair, but luckily for me, I guessed the right way, and I had a bit of a tip-off, to be fair, a couple of days before about Kedwell, which way he went, and I knew that he bagged his last two, so the save was great, but to get the win at that time of the season, which sent us on a bit of a good run at the time, just after beating Stevenage as well at home.
No one wanted to play Oxford at the Kassam Stadium, and no one could believe the result when struggling Forest Green Rovers held out for an unlikely goalless draw 48 hours after the Wimbledon win. But United responded in a way that Chris Wilder demanded and was no doubt delighted with. 4 straight victories. At Ebbsfleet, Oxford played with frightening energy and pace. Matt Green enjoying a real purple patch and capitalising on uncertain defending for his goal. Also in the mix, Simon Clist hitting another superb strike, the away day specialist on target again. The Kassam Stadium had never rocked before a league, or non-league game for that matter, in the way it did ahead of the matchup with title favourites Luton. The players responded with a rousing opening to the match. Oxford awarded a penalty. James Constable saw it saved, but the Luton fans couldn't crow for long. Before the ball went dead, he was on the score sheet. Jamie Cook had just become the first signing from the highly successful 12th Man Fund, and he hit what was probably the goal of the season on his return to Oxford to make the match United's.
We did bill it as a almost title decider, and it was important. That was the stage of the season. We needed to get as many points on the board as we could, and we started off well and got the penalty, and I saw it as a great opportunity to get my account open, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out that way, and like I say, the next 30 seconds it was a complete blur as to what had gone on, and it's still going around in my head that
Could you hear the Luton fans mocking you?
Yeah, I could, and like I say, the second I saw Matt pop up and pull a great ball back for me and score, it was nice to go over there and celebrate with them really, and give a bit back.
United were back on the road 4 days later to Wrexham. Oxford had never won at the racecourse ground. Thanks to Constable, they have now. Many thought if Oxford got all their strikers firing, they'd be unstoppable. Eastbourne certainly would have agreed when they were put to the sword. Green and then Constable inevitably on the score sheet. Before half-time, Jamie Cook was also in on the act. And 3 minutes from the end, so was Jack Midson, with his first goal for the club since his summer move from Histon into full-time football.
The Eastbourne game at home was probably the biggest highlight, because it was the 6th clean sheet on the spin for us, and it broke the record. So I took great pride in that last season regarding the clean sheets we had, in all the clean sheets we had, and to get the 6th and break the record was good, and it was a shame that we couldn't get the 7th and keep it going. But apart from the promotion on the final day, that was probably the main highlight for me personally.
You got a nice pat on the back from the manager when you came off the pitch against Eastbourne, didn't you?
Yeah, he wasn't the happiest of chaps. We, apart from the breaking the record, I do remember vaguely the gaffer coming on the pitch and grabbing us all off and getting us into the changing room as quick as possible. And a lot of people wouldn't have expected that with the 4-0 win, but we got a bit sloppy in the second half, and he just keeps us grounded really. So it paid off in the end for him to come down on us, because we went on a good run again.
So United took an 11-match unbeaten run to Field Mill, but underperformed badly in the opening hour of the game, allowing Mansfield to take what would prove to be an unassailable lead. Oxford did produce a late rally. Constable reduced the arrears, but couldn't prevent the first defeat of the season.
We just recognised how teams had always raised a game against us, but especially after the start we had made, and the scenes at Mansfield, the chairman have a bit of a chuckle at it, because I think their chairman said it was a famous night at Field Mill, and they'd beaten us in the league, and I was proud of my performance that night, because we got off to an awful start and dragged it right back and really deserved something out of the game. But I think that was always was going to be the next game afterwards.
No need to panic though at that point. Oxford were back on the road and back on the winning trail the following weekend. A 600-mile round trip to a soulless athletics stadium couldn't prevent Oxford fans outnumbering the home support, or United, thanks to a Matt Green strike, beating Gateshead. So back to the Kassam Stadium, and back-to-back victories again for the U's. This time Crawley taken apart. After Adam Chapman had put United's noses in front, ex-Oxford striker Jefferson Louis levelled. His celebrations caused a stir, and they stirred United into life. Stephen Kinneborough, on loan from Glasgow Rangers, restored the lead, and Jack Midson wrapped things up nicely. Almost half a century ago, Oxford played their first Football League game at Borough, yet not having to make the arduous journey to Holker Street again is another positive of promotion. The U's exited the FA Cup there, but took a point from the league fixture thanks to an equaliser from Luke Foster. Then Oxford enjoyed their biggest margin of victory in the season. Pity Paul Grays, who ended the campaign down and out of the conference. And they had no answer to the threat posed by James Constable, who bagged what were at the time his 10th and 11th goals of the season. Jamie Cook was again on the score sheet. And Jack Midson was too. He made it 4-0. And it was all about him for the 5th. He was brought down, the keeper was sent off, and Midson converted past the makeshift goalkeeper from the spot. Oxford had a fair few problems from the penalty spot in the season, but not on this occasion. If you include the points acquired against Chester, United were now 9 points clear at the top of the table.
It was a really good all-round performance. Graves were obviously struggling a little bit. There were a lot of problems with getting players in, and they kept changing their team around, and it was very difficult for their management. But we went about it in the right way, and James Constable hat-trick and a really convincing win, and a real good one for the lads to build the confidence.
Then it was the second game of what would prove to be a 3-match series against York City. The Minster men, through Michael Rankin, took the lead at Bootham Crescent. It was the start of a fine unbeaten run for them, but Simon Clist made sure that honours ended even. The next league game for Oxford, at home to Altrincham. They'd started the season well, but on Halloween they were shocked by a bat, Damien Bat, swooping to treat the Oxford faithful. With all that happened in the conference, it could be forgotten that Oxford beat a League One side, Yeovil, in the Cup, but the U's seemed to suffer a hangover as they were well beaten at Kidderminster next game out. Rob Matthews and Matthew Barnes-Homer put Kiddy 2 up, Sam Deering making his first start for 11 months following a broken leg, won a penalty, and against his old club, James Constable converted it. Matthews made it 3-1 but was denied a hat-trick by another penalty save from the man the supporters would vote their Player of the Year, Ryan Clark. There followed a couple of 1-0 wins at home to Borough, where James Constable won and converted the penalty that sealed victory. And the man they call Beano was at it again at Forest Green Rovers the following midweek. Another fine strike, earning 3 points. The biggest threat to Oxford that night, a power cut. It wasn't just at Forest Green, the whole of Stroud was out, you know. Constable had a niggling injury and was put on the bench for the next league away match, which was at Crawley. The U's started the game badly and were a goal down. They called on Constable and he had an amazing second half. United levelled through Adam Chapman. Constable missed a penalty. He could have gone missing after that. Instead, he contrived to head the most dramatic of late winners, 4 minutes into stoppage time, on a night the 600 travelling fans who were there will never forget.
I only came on at half-time. I was coming back from injury and I hadn't really played too much football, and like I say, I came on and won a pen and missed it again. A sort of story of the season, really. And then I think we had a move on the left and sort of whipped in last minute and managed to get my head on it, which I don't often do, and nice to see it nestle in.
That was as dramatic a winner as you're going to get.
After the game, it felt like we had won the league. Like it was sort of one of them games that if we had drew, I think maybe we'd have looked back and maybe it probably wouldn't have ended the way it did sort of towards the end of the season.
The next home match was on a strange Saturday afternoon. United ran out relatively easy winners against Ebbsfleet, but there were some comments from the crowd that grated on the manager. On the pitch, Potter and Constable put United 2 up. Ebbsfleet pulled 1 back. Potter and Constable each scored again. A late consolation for the Kent side couldn't prevent an Oxford victory in what proved to be the last conference match they played before Christmas. On December the 28th, United took the time for giving to an extreme. On loan, Onom Soje looked to have given them a late victory in his last game for the club, only for Oxford to fall asleep in injury time, and Salisbury were given a last-gasp equaliser. It felt like a defeat for those in yellow. The winter of 2009-10 was a harsh one. United didn't play again for almost 3 weeks. They were still in hibernation maybe, when Tamworth got a massive slice of luck to become the first side to visit the Kassam Stadium in the season and win.
We had all the weather factor over the Christmas, so it did make life difficult for us with, training and, keeping our eye in that, even though it's no excuse really. But, when you're on such a good run, and I don't know, maybe we put a little bit of pressure on ourselves to stay on that run when we come back in the Tamworth game. And unfortunately for me, what happened with the goal at Tamworth, any other day we'd have gone on and won 4 or 5-1, and with the chances we had, and nothing would have been said. But I had to hold my hands up that day, and luckily I'm quite a placid guy and I can take these things on the chin. So, but no, we did have a little bit of a sticky patch, but every team's going to have it through the season. And we managed to come through it, and the good thing was that we didn't have it at the end of the season going into the playoffs, and we had it, at a time where, where it could have been expected.
United were, in retrospect, maybe wobbling a little. Skipper Adam Murray suffered a back injury ahead of a Grays away game that was an ideal fixture at the time. The U's doing the double and scoring another 4 goals against the Essex side. Clist and Potter, Constable and Matt Green, the goal scorers on that occasion. Into February and the U's wanted to kick on, but Kidderminster couldn't be conquered at the Kassam, and the disappointing 0-0 draw was followed by a soul-destroying defeat. Not because of Oxford's performance at Luton, they deserved to be in front through Matt Green, but in football they say things levelled themselves up. United had enjoyed 2 late winners earlier in the season. Here, Luton made them endure the opposite. The Hatters happy. They felt the last gasp win on February the 9th would help rescue their season and help derail United's. But who would have the last laugh?
I remember that. I remember warming up and thinking, this would be a good game to come on and grab the winner. And I thought, I did. I thought, we were quite comfortable. It was a pretty fair game, I thought. And obviously I managed to was headed back by Simon Clist and got across my man and got the goal. A great feeling, especially there as well. I know the history, between the clubs, and it's kind of a bit of a derby for us. So that was, an amazing feeling. But then obviously what happened after was really gutting. But again, I think it just built our character. I think it gave us maybe again another boost. Sometimes you need that throughout the season, just to, you can easily drift off and think we're unbeatable, because at the time I think everyone believed that.
As they usually did when the chips were down, Oxford responded to adversity in fine style. There followed 3 straight conference victories, all at home. Sam Deering's goal at the start of the second half against Histon had settled the nerves. 10-man Histon would be breached late on through Matt Green, who in the absence of the suspended James Constable was himself becoming pretty prolific. Constable was back for the visit of Rushton, but he missed a penalty, and when Oxford were awarded another spot kick late on, it was Adam Chapman who bravely took responsibility for giving United the precious win. When Wimbledon walked into the Kassam Stadium, they were no match for what Chris Wilder's men had in store for them. James Constable was unstoppable. He scored in the first half, and in a second half that saw Billy Turley take over in goal from Ryan Clark, the self-styled Elvis was a virtual spectator, as Wimbledon were reduced to 10 men, then reduced to bystanders, as Constable carved out a second goal. United 6 points clear at the top of the table. All was well, wasn't it?
I've always tried to play a good attacking football. Sometimes difficult at home, because a lot of teams come and put a lot of people behind the ball, and sometimes you have to be a bit more patient with that. So, and sometimes it can be easier away from home to attack, because teams come onto you much quicker and leave a lot more gaps.
There was a lot talked about formations and tactics and stuff like that, and that night we played 4-4-2, and and even after that game we moved, I think, about 4 or 5 points clear. So you know, the performance that night was a real good one. Good away following from Wimbledon made it a fantastic atmosphere, and I really did think after that game that, you know, it would take something special to overtake us.
Chris Wilder called what followed a mad March, the month where United fell away in the title race. There were no heavy defeats. Indeed, results like the 1-1 draw at Cambridge in isolation weren't that bad. Constable had an ankle problem though. Matt Green was still scoring. United lost 2 matches in March, but this is the one that hurt most. Part-timers Hayes and Yedding arrived at the Kassam Stadium. Inoffensive as they and former Oxford striker Steve Basham are, when Basham scored 2 first-half goals to put the West London side 2 up, the rest of the conference, in particular Stevenage, Luton and York, suddenly thought there was a chink in Oxford's armour. At least Basham was respectfully understated in his celebrations. Clist's first Kassam Stadium goal, little consolation to him or the 5,000 crowd. 3 points dropped there, 3 more games followed where United failed to win. At home to Kettering, Franny Green scored against his old club to raise hopes that Oxford would again return to the top of the table. The former Oxford man Marcus Kelly crossed and James Dance headed home an equaliser, 1-1. The match at Tamworth, switched to a Sunday, was a non-event really, 0-0 better than a defeat. And so was the 1-1 draw at Rushden, especially as Oxford United had to come from behind in that game at Nem Park. Little Sam Deering, though, ensuring that Oxford fans would leave Nem Park on a high.
Took me a while to get into the side. Came back from an injury. Went out loan to Newport, which done me a lot of good. I had a couple games there, got myself back in, worked myself hard again, cut into the team, grabbed myself a goal at Histon, which is good to get on the score sheet, and then progressed from there. The gaffer said I was always improving during the season, and as I worked harder in training, I found myself getting into the team more, and coming on at Rushden, scoring a goal, which a vital goal really when we needed a point. Came on, scored, crowd was going crazy. It's absolute great feeling.
One of the best teams in the league, Rushden. We'll say we went a goal down, but Sam scored us a great goal just coming on a sub, as we lifted over the goalkeeper. But it's always a good result at Rushden if you can get a draw. You'd like to go and win there, but I think they're, like I say, always one of the strongest teams in the league and always play good football.
Gateshead's visit to the Kassam Stadium saw United secure their only win in March. They took the lead through James Constable. The Gateshead equaliser was controversial. How was Darrell Clare not interfering with play when he was ruled onside for that goal? Oxford grabbed their fair share of injury time winners through the season, and Matt Green was on hand against Gateshead to get another. It set up what was billed as a title decider at Stevenage. The match was decided by a single penalty. The result looked pretty decisive as far as the title race was concerned. The Hertfordshire side had come from 9 points behind Oxford at one stage to 8 points in front. 10-Man United suffered a 2-1 defeat at Hayes the following Good Friday. The title race was up.
We almost got sort of a reality check of where we were and what the situation we had sort of got ourselves into, the position we got ourselves in early doors, and then we had sort of our wobble mid-season, and obviously the last few months of the season we realised the chance we had, and we weren't going to get a chance like that again to get into that sort of position and be in a position to get promoted. And I think we just really turned it on, and the togetherness of the lads really sort of helped us through.
Oxford needed to find some form and get some wins. There was another 1-0 victory over Salisbury at the Kassam Stadium on Easter Monday. Alfie Potter fit again and conjuring up another late winner, this one 4 minutes from time. Another week, another 1-0 to the Oxford boys moment. Constable heading in a corner to see off Altrincham. Oxford were again held by Cambridge United though, this time to a 0-0 draw at the Kassam Stadium. There was little more than this to write home about. Then it clicked. United saw off Mansfield 2-0 at the Kassam. Constable proved he was back to fitness with a vengeance. He scored twice, but it was more the manner of the performance which gave United fans cause to be cautiously optimistic about the playoffs, which they were now destined to be involved in.
Although it would have took quite a bit by that time for us not to be in the playoffs, just to secure it before the end of the season was a nice relief for everybody, and it gave us a bit of a breathing space before we start the semi-finals. Yeah, it was again a good all-round performance from everybody, and I think after our little bit of a blip in, as everyone knows, we talk about in March, we were just starting to get our feet back just at the right time.
Yeah, I got my mojo back, and so did the team. I started playing better, and as a group we started performing better. We brought some new people in, new faces, Jake Wright, and kind of just brightened the team up, you know, helped us to get over difficult teams and get some good performances.
Wrexham, late in the previous season, had been undone by a late Oxford winner at the Kassam Stadium. History repeated itself when Kevin Sandwith arrived at the back post to steal the points for United. The match would provide Billy Turley's last game as an Oxford keeper. He marked it with a clean sheet, though only he will know how. What a way to end. United ended the regular season at Eastbourne. Key players were rested. Eastbourne got the 1-0 win which saw them escape the relegation zone. Oxford had 5 days now to prepare for the playoffs. Everyone, it seemed, wanted to play Oxford. Careful what you wish for. Word, it seemed, had not got round that Oxford, and in particular Constable, were back in the groove. In the first leg of the playoff semi-finals, Beano, to use a phrase coined by his manager, was bang at it. United deservedly led at Nem Park, but they would be pegged back. If Oxford had ultimately lost the semi-final, the decision not to award a foul against Rushton in the build-up to their goal would have been in real dispute, though the finish could only be applauded. (1-1) going into the second leg at the Kassam Stadium. Too often the scene of big game letdowns for United, but not this time. The U's were irresistible. Matt Green raced through to put Oxford 1 goal to the good. James Constable did something similar to seal United's first trip to Wembley for 24 years. Oxfordshire descended en masse on North London.
It's different sitting in the stand because, you know, you can't really affect the game, but you know, I'll be like any other Oxford fan today and you know, willing them forward and hoping they can get a result today.
Most on this march to the Arch believed their team could do it. It was time for these Oxford players to make their own history, 90 minutes away from a return to the Football League.
Brody and Rankin, they don't lose many headers. The balls hit long up to them. Did a handful.
And Constable has peeled away. And again, Ingham out swiftly, but could be made to pay. It's Green with a chance. And Green has scored! He took it magnificently. Mark Green gives Oxford United the lead.
Well, it's one ball over the top again. And as much praise as they're giving him in the first 5 minutes, he's come out and got that one wrong. Tried to pull out of it at the end. It's a ball over the top for Constable. He's come out, never got there. The support's quick. They win a header, and what a finish. Half volley from Green, top corner. It's a fantastic finish. Just what Oxford needed. Now York, with 2 fullbacks sitting in front of the fullbacks. They've got 4 fullbacks out there in the wide areas. It's when they come back and try and get back in the game, or do they just sit there and keep plugging away and hope Brody pulls them out? But what a goal for Oxford to get.
And Jim Smith was the man who orchestrated Oxford's progress to the top division, but of course he was in charge of Queen's Park Rangers on the day of that Milk Cup final. Maurice Evans led Oxford to glory.
Yeah, the late Maurice Evans, what a great man he was. Great manager for the club, he signed me. Lovely man, not with us anymore.
But apart from that, he did a lot of good things.
Yeah, well.
Here's Green. Oh, right for here. It's Constable who's in for a second. It's a long way back for York City now. They believe that they're heading back to the Football League.
Well, it's power and strength. Another straight long ball at the pitch. And they're just not able to cope, York. Constable's hooked the ball on. But it's this second challenge here. He's away, he's anticipated. Got the ball onto his left foot. Yeah, he's not give it and stood. He's reacted before right, I think. And it's a cool finish with his left foot. Hit the target. Just hit the target.
Perkis. In for Brodie. Lawless. Up against Chapman again. Lawless once more. Perkis' ball in. Oh, and a terrible error from the goalkeeper. He has gifted York a route back in this match. A horror moment for Ryan Clark. And hope for York City.
Well, we feel for the lad. It's a disaster for him. No danger. It's a nice flighted cross for him to catch. And you can only put that down to nerves.
It's Pitt's corner. Sangare looking to rise up for Potter, and they could finish it off here. It's 2 against 1. He's got Deering to his right. He's got to feed Potter again. Potter to wrap it up. Oxford United are back in the Football League.
That's it. League 2, here we come. Tremendously worked goal as well. I mean, York have thrown everything at it. There was always a danger of that happening. They had nothing to lose. They've sent everyone forward and they've got caught on the break. But the execution, Potter's played the right pass to Deering and Deering's played the right pass at the right time. And he's took it brilliantly. Great finish. Because you never know. There's still 4 or 5 minutes injury time left. If this don't go in, good touch, didn't panic. Great finish. I have to say, one of my old clubs, Oxford, the fans are going mad. 33,000 of them. They deserved it.
And Chris Wilder, even wilder.
That reminds me of how we played.
Oh, what a moment of joy.
He's telling them all to get back in now. He's run down the touchline himself, and then he's telling the rest of them to get back in. But that's how he feels. I know how he feels there.
Alfie Potter with the decisive moment, surely. After 4 years of despair, now back where they believe they belong, barring miracles. Gash, no way through.
I feel sorry for Foyley there as well. You know, his team have done him proud. They've lost a couple of early goals and got back in the game. And I mean, this feeling of losing, you know, must stick with you forever.
It's Pitt. Oh, and they're on the break again, Oxford, but Potter trying to get away from Lawless, who bitted him and then bit too hard, and it will be a free kick.
No, some of the fans are devastated. You know, it's been such a long season, and to do as well as they've done, there's got to be a loser, and it's horrible.
Well, losing in the playoffs can be the worst feeling in football. Sometimes it can be even worse than relegation, but for these Oxford fans, well, it is going to be a massive party tonight, absolutely no question about that. They've travelled a shorter distance, but they've travelled in much greater numbers, and the club that once graced the top division of English football are heading back amongst the elite.
I think it's took them, was it 5 years? The 5 years they've been out, I think.
4 seasons.
4 years. And every season that goes by, you keep thinking, how are we going to do it? You know, I've got it with my club now, Rex, and we're all desperate to get out of the league, and Oxford have done it. And now they should never let it happen to them again. What's happened to them, really?
Sam Stadium to host League Two football next season. This is daring. We might even add some further agony here for York. This is Clist. I don't think he's got any other ideas than to head for the corner. And why not? Oxford are back in the big time. After 4 years away, they return to the Football League. Desperate disappointment for Martin Foyle, but for Chris Wilder, he has achieved what he set out to do. They were top for so long in the Blue Square Premier this season, until March, when they last graced the top slot, but it had slipped away and they feared the dream might be over. But the dream has been realised here tonight. York City, they're disappointed. They showed terrific character. They really gave plenty to this football match, and in the end had their chances to level it up. But they're ruining those chances now. And Oxford United on their way up. Well, for the city of the dreaming spires, it is reality. Back where they believe they belong, Oxford United return to the Football League. 4 years of hurt is over. Oxford United triumphant at Wembley and back in the Football League, in League Two next season. A day of triumph for Chris Wilder and all associated with Oxford United.
We deserve to go up. Today we've scored 3 goals like we did in 1986. This is fantastic.
Guys have done us proud. The supporters have been brilliant. Makes 2 teams to make a good final. Brilliant. What an advertisement for, lower league football.
Proud man, proud of everything that the football club's achieved, everything that the players, Chris and the staff, all the staff, and just the fans. Oxfordshire is a good place to be right now.
Can you put us in context for us what this means to the club?
No, not really. It just means it's fantastic. I haven't really taken time to sit down and reflect on it and add the numbers up, but it's just a case of we have to make sure now that we move forward, and that's the key. We continue this momentum because we've built some momentum. Now this is a fantastic day. Everyone enjoyed it, so we have to build on this.
You feel you've got what it needs and what it takes in order to challenge in League Two?
Absolutely. We should be challenging in League Two, so we'll be excited about that challenge and we'll take it on head on.
100% record at Wembley for the club. It's quite a proud stat, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we just get to, we just want to keep coming back. That's all there is to it. Keep coming back. It's a good place to be.
It was amazing. The noise for the first whistle, like I say, the fans have been tremendous this season, and they know they're one of the main reasons I joined the football club, and they made it extra special today.
So 26 for the season, 23 in the conference. If you include that one today, quite a result. What a return.
Yeah, it's like I say, that obviously the gaffer brought me to the club to score goals, and it's what I enjoy doing, and like I say, just delighted that I managed to get on the score sheet and we got the right result.
Tell me about that goal.
It was a great flick from Matty, and just managed to get in on it and have a good touch, and like I say, just nice to see it nestling in there.
Left foot one's always good, aren't they?
Yeah, not bad when you're right-footed. No, like I say, I just hit it and a bit of hope, and like I say, nice to see it in the back of the net.
Tell me about those fans then.
Fans were immense, and like I say, it makes it worthwhile going out there, and it drives you on in the 89th minute like we scored late on, and I'm sure it's down to the amount of noise they made and the massive drive they give us.
I think you're going to enjoy this evening. I don't think we have any problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's in doubt. I think we're going to go and have a few beers now, and like I say, enjoy the rest of the summer.
More importantly, enjoy League Two next season.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're here, and that's why we put in the performance like we did today. We're desperate to get in the league, and it's important now we stay there.
You're not letting go of it then, are you?
I'm taking that with me. I don't think anyone's going to stop me, to be honest. No one's noticed either, so unless I've got a search party out for it, I'm taking it with me.
I have to ask this question. Have you worn it as a hat yet?
I have worn it as a hat, yeah. I think I've got a few pictures of me as a hat. You've got to do it, haven't you?
How was Wembley for you?
It was unbelievable, unreal. It's not really sunk in yet. I'm saying we did it the hard way, but you see the fans out there, mate, it just makes it all worth it.
Good feeling?
Great feeling. You don't want it to go. You want to get more of it in football. Hopefully we can next year.
And you're looking forward to League Two now then?
Oh, I think we're going to have a few beers first, and then let it all settle down, and then we're going to push next year.
What's it mean being an Oxford player at the moment then?
I think you saw out there what it means. It's just playing in front of that. Playing it at the Kassam, and the support we've got. It just makes you want to be a better player.
Enjoy it.
I will. Don't worry.
Chris, what a match!
Oh no, unbelievable. Through everything there, through all the emotions of everything, through the high of the start, through the low, and then the finish, which is ecstatic moment for everybody involved with the football club.
Yeah, talk us through those celebrations.
Yeah, not the best, was it? I suppose that's going to haunt me for the next whatever it is. But I just thought, I had a chance to let off a little bit because we're under a little bit of pressure. We've got ourselves into a great position, and then we should have gone and clinched the game. Really, Jack Minster's had a great header that he possibly should have scored with, and I think that's game, set, and match. But it wasn't, and York come back at us, took some chances, put it on us a little bit. But I thought we were solid and rock solid, and going to. We just needed that third goal.
You've been putting quite a stoic approach on this match, but can you let us know how stressful has it been for you and the players?
Well, we're under a lot of pressure, aren't we? But we've got to make sure that we keep the feet on the ground, and always the focus has had to be on the game. It was never on the occasion and the ground and the support. It's always about the focus was on the game, and I thought the players have been magnificent since the disappointment of obviously not being able to win the league.
And what about the day, the fans, the stadium?
Well, I mean, we drove in here this morning at 9:30 with the kit, and there were Oxford United fans milling about then, and then we drove back in. They were everywhere. They took over Wembley today, and for the 5th tier of English football, to us to take a support like that is phenomenal, and it shows you what we can achieve, what we can do, and we need to make sure we do it.
And so 4 years in non-league football ended for Oxford United. It hadn't been all bad, just most of it. If United, years down the line, are once again flirting with relegation and people start saying we're too good to go down or we'll be fine down in the conference, we'll come straight back up. Just get this DVD out and remind them what it took to get out of the Blue Square Premier in 2010.
Turns his man nicely on the right-hand side, opens up a bit of room, crosses right foot into the back post. There is Constable, Clist, Constable get in each other's way, then Constable scores! Back it goes to Chapman, breeze in his face, chips the ball into the area, Midson flicks it on, Creighton coming in far post, won't quite get there, out of play for a goal kick. Dipper just keeps on dipping as Tonkin plays it down the line. It's Adam Chapman, the substitute, who is preparing to take the spot kick for Oxford United. Scores! Hits it straight down the middle and straight into the back of the net. Another reverse pass, another great reverse pass from Murray. Allows it to go through to Dannie Bulman, who shoots, and it goes just wide, and you just for a moment wondered if it was going to be a real talking point. That was a great effort from Bulman.
Towards Potter, daring challenges, Clist trying to get there, Clist tries to get in the shot, oh, and Simon Clist has done it! Great goal by Simon Clist. Headed back by Clist, Constable gets the ball and almost plays in daring, runs to Elfie Potter with a charge, Elfie Potter shoots, oh, Elfie Potter scored! Good play by Jamie Cook into the penalty, drives in the shot. Oh, what a goal by Jamie Cook!
rides a couple of challenges, still going, it opens up for him. There was the goal for Jack Minson. His first in Oxford United colours. Good ball down the line to Batu, pulls it back to Matt Green. Green scores! Took a little bit of time to pull the trigger.
Bit of counter needed now. Come on. Matt Green has got away down the right side. Green still going forward. Plays the ball and Cuntswood scored! James Cuntswood has made it 1-0.